The Plymouth Barracuda arrived early to a party that it helped invent, then spent a decade refusing to behave. It was sleek before sleek sold cars, fast before fast scared insurance companies, and strange in ways that only make sense once you hear the engines that it carried. Time to find out the weird about the Plymouth Barracuda on today's episode of Horsepower Nation. First, the things we need to know. The Plymouth Barracuda debuted in April 1964, quietly sliding into showrooms just weeks before the Ford Mustang would redefine the American automotive landscape. Built on the compact Valiant platform, the Barracuda was initially envisioned as a sporty alternative rather than an outright performance car. Its most striking feature was the massive wraparound rear glass, a bold design choice that instantly separated it from anything else on the road. Early buyers could choose economical slant-six engines or small V8s, making the Barracuda approachable but not yet fearsome. As the 1960s progressed, Plymouth steadily repositioned the Barracuda towards performance. The second generation introduced more aggressive styling, wider bodywork, and stronger engine options, including big block V8s that finally gave the car true muscle credentials. Everything escalated in 1970 with the arrival of the E-Body Barracuda, a purpose-built muscle car capable of housing some of Chrysler's most legendary engines. What followed was a brief but explosive era of dominance, controversy, and eventual decline that cemented the Barracuda's legacy in ways sales numbers never could. The details behind that rise and fall reveal why the Barracuda remains one of Mopar's most respected creations. Everybody got that? Good. Number 10. The Barracuda technically started the pony car era. Now, although the Ford Mustang is widely credited with launching the pony car movement, the Barracuda actually reached dealerships first. Plymouth introduced it on April 1st, 1964, no joke, beating the Mustang by roughly 2 weeks. The Barracuda's early arrival often goes unnoticed because Plymouth marketed it cautiously, emphasizing comfort and practicality over rebellion. In hindsight, that conservative messaging may have cost the Barracuda its place in mainstream automotive mythology, even though it arrived first and established the formula that others refined. Number 9. That rear window was a manufacturing nightmare. Now, the first generation Barracuda's enormous wraparound rear glass was not just a design statement, it was an engineering challenge. The glass was so large and curved, it required special handling during production and replacement. While it gave the car excellent visibility and a futuristic look, it also made repairs expensive and complicated. Today, that same rear glass is one of the most distinctive and sought-after features among early Barracuda collectors. Number 8. It was never meant to be a muscle car at first. Early Barracudas were conceived as stylish daily drivers rather than street fighters. Most buyers chose slant-six engines based on fuel economy and reliability. Performance options existed, but they were secondary to comfort and appearance. This cautious beginning explains why the Barracuda's transformation into a full-blown muscle car feels so dramatic by the end of the 1960s. Few cars evolved so aggressively in such a short period of time. Number 7. Formula S was the Barracuda's turning point. The Formula S package marked a critical shift in the Barracuda's identity. Instead of just cosmetic upgrades, Formula S added real street performance hardware, including upgraded suspension components, larger brakes, and higher output engines. This package helped reposition the Barracuda as a serious driver's car and laid the groundwork for the high-performance reputation that would define later models. Number 6. Big block engines changed public perception. When Plymouth first introduced big block V8s, like the 383, into the Barracuda lineup, the car's reputation changed almost overnight. No longer dismissed as a sporty compact, the Barracuda became a legitimate muscle car capable of embarrassing larger and heavier competitors. These big block cars also highlighted one of the Barracuda's strengths: strong acceleration paired with a relatively short wheelbase that made the car feel aggressive and responsive. Number 5. The 1970 redesign was a clean break from the past. The third generation Barracuda launched in 1970, and it bore almost no resemblance to earlier versions. Built on Chrysler's E-body platform, it was wider, lower, and unmistakably muscular. Designers prioritized stance and proportion, giving the car wide rear quarters and a low roofline that projected power even when it was parked. This redesign finally allowed the Barracuda to fully embrace its role as a high-performance icon rather than an experimental offshoot. Number 4. Hemi Barracudas were brutal and rare. Now, the availability of the 426 Hemi engine placed the Barracuda among the most extreme muscle cars ever built. These engines were expensive, they were difficult to insure, and temperamental by everyday standards, which meant very few buyers ordered them new. As a result, original Hemi Barracudas are now among the most valuable American cars in existence, prized not just for their rarity, but for their raw, uncompromising performance. Number 3. The 446 barrel was the real street king. Now, while the Hemi grabbed headlines, many enthusiasts consider the 446 barrel Barracuda the ultimate street machine. With massive torque, simpler maintenance, and slightly better drivability, the 446 barrel offered explosive performance without the drawbacks of the Hemi. These cars dominated stoplight races and drag strips alike, earning a reputation for brutal acceleration and reliability. Number 2. Regulations ended the golden era pretty quickly. The Barracuda's peak years were painfully short. New emission standards, rising insurance costs, and tightening safety regulations all collided in the early 1970s. Compression ratios dropped, horsepower ratings fell, and styling softened to comply with new bumper requirements. Now, while later Barracudas remained stylish and competent, the ferocity that defined the 1970 and 1971 models was gone, signaling the end of the muscle car's wildest chapter. And finally, the Barracuda became a legend after it died. Now, when production ended in 1974, the Barracuda quietly disappeared without fanfare. It wasn't until decades later that collectors and enthusiasts fully recognized the significance. Low production numbers, extreme performance variants, and its role as an early pony car helped elevate the Barracuda to the modern-day legendary status it enjoys. Today, it stands as one of Mopar's most respected and aggressively valued nameplates. To sum it all up, the Plymouth Barracuda was never built to follow trends, and that defiance defines its legacy. From cautious beginnings to outrageous performance peaks, it embodied Mopar ambition at full throttle. Overshadowed in its time, the Barracuda now stands taller in history, remembered as bold, fast, and unapologetically different. Well, that's it for today's episode. Hope you loved it. If you loved it enough, give it a like, a subscribe, share it on your different social medias, and if you feel like signing up to help support the channel, I will not stop you. In fact, I'd consider it a personal favor. And do yourself a favor, go to a cruise this weekend. As always, take care, have yourself a great day.